Hey guys, Kira Swimmer here, and welcome to a very special video where today I'm going to be doing a basic run through of my life, essentially, and several different important events in it. And I'm going to be doing this for my 100 subscriber special. So, without further ado, let's begin. So all the way at the beginning here, on November 30th of 2006, this was my birth, right here. If you have baby Sam, who is an adult, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do about this, because they're all, if I put a baby villager here, it's just gonna grow up, and it'd be a pain to try and replace all of them with babies again, you know, it's a whole deal. But here we have my father, my mother, and the doctor slash nurse person that does this sort of stuff. Nothing much to say about this. Let's move on to something a little bit more interesting. September 2012. This is when I first got enrolled in the school. Now, I think it's important to mention that I actually have special needs. So, it'll make a lot of the story elements of this make a bit more sense. So, the first school I got enrolled into was a pretty big elementary school. And of course, you know, me being the special needs person, I didn't really fit in very well at all. You know, I got into trouble a lot, and you know that was not good. So eventually I managed to be able to start meeting up with a special person that was sort of like supposed to, you know, talk to me about this sort of stuff. And this person will be somewhat important not too later down the road here. So we talk about all sorts of stuff. We talk about like interests and stuff, and you know what to do and what not to do in a, you know, classroom environment, sort of just in general. But if we move on to June of 2013, this special person recommended a new school to my parents, and this school was a school that actually had a dedicated special needs class. Now, of course, for privacy reasons, I'm not going to mention the name of the school. So we're just going to move on here to my first grade year where I was in this new class. However, must I mention, while it was definitely, you know, a very much more friendly environment, and I did quite a bit better, there was one teacher that just seemed like he absolutely despised me. And for the purposes of this video, we're going to call this teacher Mr. Frank. So Mr. Frank just, like, he really did not seem like he should be teaching in like an elementary school environment, especially not in a special needs class. Let's just say that. So, you know, he had a short temper. He got very upset with me pretty easily, and it was just awful being around him. Well, and the lead teacher, you know what, the lead teacher was decent. However, of course, they weren't the best teacher in the world, but I mean, no, they were better than Mr. Frank, that's for sure. Mr. Frank, I'd probably rank this guy as probably like one of the worst teachers I've ever had. So, yeah, glad you're not teaching my school anymore. And oh, wait, also, wow, I also forgot to mention that this special needs class also had a big class program as well, which is essentially just a normal public school classroom. And I slowly got more and more used to this. I didn't even bother to put the kids down because that was when I was still using baby villagers, so that would have been hard to do. But ignoring that, I slowly got more and more comfortable with a public school environment. Of course, you know, I was far from perfect, but I was getting better. I was at least better than I was in kindergarten. But then, in December of 2014, that was when I was first introduced to the game I am playing right now, Minecraft. So my parents decided, so I talked to my parents about it, and I asked a lot for this game. So they eventually bought Minecraft for me, and I, you know, played around with it. I started messing around with the game elements, like, you know, how do you build stuff, what, you know, putting blocks around, what can you make? It's also important to mention that at this time, I was really interested in a YouTuber called Stampy, Longhead or Long Nose or whatever. I think you may or may not have heard of them, but I was really into them back then. And a lot of my builds that I made in my early days of Minecraft were inspired by them. Well, of course, I didn't replicate one of them. But the thing I'd like to build a lot is the rocket ship. If you watch Stampy's Lovely World series, then there'll be one episode, or there'll be a few episodes where he works on a rocket ship, right? And he, used like video effects to make it seem like he went to the moon. Of course, me being the dumb little 8-year-old I was, thought that was real. So I actually went out and tried and build it, and it didn't work. And I was like, oh, okay. We're gonna move on to January of 2015, when Mr. Frank finally quit. He decided that this was not the right experience for him, which it really wasn't. I mean, you're in a elementary school classroom with special needs students, so the man quit. And from then on, my elementary school experience got a lot better, actually. So moving on to June of 2015 was the big long haul. My parents decided to move across the country. We moved all the way from the East Coast over to closer to the West Coast, where I live right now. I currently live in Arizona, in case you guys don't know. I'm not going to mention the city, again, for privacy reasons. Moving on, December of 2015. And Rosalind B, who you guys know I've played with a bit in the past on my YouTube channel, I first met Rosalind on December of 2015. She was a classmate of mine, and actually it's important to mention that at this time Rosalind was not called Rosalind, but I named this villager Rosalind anyway, just in case. So Rosalind was a classmate of mine, and we first despised each other. We did not like each other at all, but we eventually got on to be good friends. In fact, a decent amount of my early friendships were like that, which I don't know how that's supposed to happen, but, I guess I do what I gotta do. But January of 2016, oh, well, this is the part where we become friends. Alright, I'm just gonna move on now. So January of 2017, this is like a less important detail. Like I got a 3DS for Christmas, and why I decided to mention that here is because I got a game called Tomodachi Life, and I became, very almost somewhat attracted to the game. The people I created in it, it's almost like they're my family. So yeah, thought I'd mention that. I'm gonna move on very quickly. June to September of 2017. This span of months brought in a few very interesting events. First off, I went to DanTDM on tour. If you guys don't know, back in 2017, DanTDM went on a special tour, and if you don't know who DanTDM is, then look him up. I mean, what are you doing with your life? But he went on tour, and I attended it. I did very well in school the previous year, so my parents, as a reward, bought me tickets to go see him live. So, yeah, 100% DanTDM. This is definitely DanTDM right here. Totally not someone else. And also, in August of 2017, there was a solar eclipse. As you guys may remember, if you live in the United States at least, around late 2017, there was a solar eclipse which affected the entire country. And the interesting thing is how I first found out about this solar eclipse is because me and my dad were looking it up, when is the next solar eclipse gonna be? And it's oh, it's gonna be in August. Little did I know, it was gonna turn into a very big deal. So my class had an assignment on it, and of course we went to see it, and there were no more solar eclipse glasses. It doesn't matter where you went, there were none. But here we are. We have a bunch of students. We have the teacher, and also me and Rosalind as well. Okay, now entering 2018. This is when I went on a trip to Colorado, and this trip it left it had such an impact on me that it's definitely something I'm not gonna forget. First of all, This is when I started getting absolutely fascinated with Baldi's Basics. I first learned about it from an Exploding TNT video, and then I eventually got more and more into the game. However, the funny thing is that at that time, it was literally impossible for me to play the game. I did not have a computer. I only had a mobile device, so I couldn't do it. In fact, I even made a skit on the game, as you can see right here. That was heavily inspired by that Exploding TNT video. See, we have here recording myself with an abnormally large camera. I mean, this is a massive camera. Like, this is something you'd see in like a production studio, but just pretend that this is like an iPad. And also, while I was there, I went on like a summer camp as well. And one of the trips I, again, will never forget. It was a camping trip, and I met quite a lot of people there, and I got to be really good friends with them. And I haven't seen them like since I went on that trip, like the Colorado trip. So, and I miss them, and I kind of want to see them again. But we had a lot of fun here. We like sort of, you know, played games and whatnot, like real life games, not like video games, but like, you know, yeah, stuff like that. It was good fun, and we sort of just like messed around in the forest. All right, now November 2018. I was about to get a new laptop. Before this, I was recording on a Mac with Camtasia on it, and since, you know, that was my parents' copy of Camtasia, I did not upload another video until April of 2020. Trust me, I tried. I tried to get OBS to work on that laptop, but that laptop just couldn't handle it. It couldn't do it at all. So moving on to April of 2020. December of the previous year, I got a laptop that OBS actually liked, and I could record pretty well. So I started to take YouTube more seriously, and it was the first time I really began to do that. And also, the most memorable series I did from that experience is the Curious Lands Modded Survival series. I have mentioned this quite a few times, and unfortunately it is now discontinued unless you guys want to see more of that. I still have the world. But here I made a complete recreation of the house from that series. You see, you got the 4 furnaces, the crafting table, and the 2 large chests, which are completely empty. They aren't like that in the series. They're just completely empty just for the video. Now we are entering June of 2020. This is a part of my life I thought I'd mention. At this time, I was starting to get into the music production industry a little bit. So my parents signed me up for a summer program at Berkeley, which is a college in California. And, you know, it was definitely stressful. It was a flipping college program. And, you know, since, you know, the pandemic and all that, it was all online and stuff like that. And I started to get stressed out because of it. So about a third of the way into the program, I withdrew. Or the withdrew didn't work, and I just failed both. And I just failed both of the classes I'd done. But now we are entering August of 2020, when your computer is school. Yes. That's all I have to say about this moment. October of 2020 was when I finally released my first album called Potential. Now, my parents were very proud of me. You know, they've been, you know, seeing me work on this thing for a while now. So let's give it a listen. Copyright Neutral Potential. Guess what? I can't actually play that because I don't want to have to dispute any copyright claims I'll get. So I'm just going to move on. And also, oh, well, I mean, I skipped something very important I should have mentioned earlier on. Around May of 2020, I ended up temporarily quitting YouTube. I just thought that the consistency I was going at was too stressful for me. You know, the fact that I had to make, oh, you have to make this video at this time, or else, like, whatever. It was very stressful, so I stopped for quite a while. Going back to this area right here, January 2021, I returned to YouTube again. And from then on forward, I started continue making YouTube content to this day. And so now we're going to enter April to May of 2021. And here, I make my first Super Golf video. in March, and then 2 weeks later in April, it started to blow up and get loads of views. Yeah, people found this fun. Let me just grab a snowball to demonstrate how fun it is. There, I got a Heo. And if you don't get that, then I don't know what you're doing, because those Super Golf videos are the most viewed videos on my channel. So now, I have a special surprise for you. Give me my snowball back. That's very precious to me. So I just want to do this for you all. Here we go. Thanks for 100 subscribers. You guys are the ones who got me here, and you guys are going to be the ones who continue to take me on through this journey. So I want to say thank you all for supporting this channel, and this is what I did for my 100 subscriber special, so I hope you enjoyed. Without further ado, I'm going to end now. Later!